It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Athletes Unlimited professional volleyball player Kristen Tupac Hahn. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into professional volleyball?
Yeah, it takes me back to high school in my junior year. I remember being at home watching the 2008 Olympics and thinking, man, I really want to do that. I want to play, I was really into it. And I remember watching Nicole Davis, a libero for the national team, and being like, man, I would really love to have that jersey on and play for the USA. And not really knowing what the process for that looked like, but then I was able to watch again in 12, and that just really continued to solidify just my desire to play at the highest level. And I didn't, as I continued through my career, I started learning more about what professional volleyball looked like, that it wasn't just the national team. I didn't really know in 2008 that professional volleyball meant you're playing overseas internationally. I just thought about the Olympic team. And so it wasn't until I think my junior year of college that I learned that, I could go overseas and play, and that I could have this long career, and that some people were playing until they were into their late 30s and sometimes 40s. So it was definitely the USA women's national team that kind of sparked my interest back in high school.
What was it like competing in college for the Iowa State and putting on that jersey?
That was a dream come true for me. So my parents both went to Iowa State, and my brother was actually at Iowa State his senior year when I was a freshman. I had dreamed about going there since I was little. We were kind of like the only Cyclones in our family. Most of our family are Hawkeye fans, as I'm wearing my Cyclone shirt right now. And I actually really wanted to play softball at Iowa State growing up. And then as I got deeper into volleyball and started playing volleyball later on in life, their volleyball program was becoming a more prominent force in the volleyball world. And so to have that dream come true, that I could go to Iowa State and follow in my family's footsteps, and then also to play a sport there, was absolutely a dream come true. And putting that jersey on was just one of the biggest honors for me. And, I still bleed red, cardinal, and gold. And that's like in my heart, and I'll forever be a Cyclone. And I have since I was a little girl. So it means a lot to me.
What was it like, obviously, getting to put on that jersey growing up, being a fan of the team?
It meant a lot to me because I think every time I put the jersey on, I thought about when I was growing up and what it meant to me to be able to watch the Iowa State volleyball players, just to watch just Iowa State sports in general. And when I put on the jersey, I thought about those little girls, especially ones similar to me, who felt like maybe I wasn't the biggest recruit coming out of high school. And, I was working super, super hard to try and get recognized collegiately and to try and have opportunities. And so when I put the jersey on, I was playing for all those little girls across the country that have those dreams. And I always wanted to give back and help inspire young athletes to go after those dreams and to pursue, whatever their biggest dream is. I think that was really important to me.
What were some of your college accomplishments?
Wow. So I think my two biggest team accomplishments were the 2011, my sophomore year, we went to the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament. We were 2 points away from making the Final Four, the first in program history. It was kind of a bummer that we didn't get to, but taking the program to another Elite Eight. It was only the second time in program history. That was really special. We actually just celebrated our 10-year anniversary of the 2011 team. And then the following year in 2012, we made it to the Sweet 16. And so those were two really big team accomplishments. We always aimed to make the NCAA tournament, which we did all 4 years. But the 2011 team, we were also ranked a top 4 seed, which was it was the highest seed that Iowa State volleyball has ever received. And then personally, I always really made it a goal for me to try and achieve a Defensive Player of the Week award in the Big 12. I always felt like achieving those awards meant that I was doing my job at an exceptional level. And I ended up setting a Big 12 record for most weekly awards with 17 total. And then I have like the most in a season, and I have most consecutive weeks. I think there was 5 weeks consecutively that I was named the Defensive Player of the Week. And those just really meant a lot to me. That means I was showing up for my team and I was doing my job and performing at a really high rate. And then, after those achievements too, I was named a All-American 3 times and Big 12 Libero of the Year 3 times as well. And so those personal achievements to me were never like the forefront of my brain. It was always just performing at my best, but it was nice to receive some recognition for all the hard work that I put in. And I think it was just another one of those things that every time I put on that jersey, I was playing for those little girls back home and showing them that they can, aspire to do really big things if they work hard and they, set goals. So.
What was it like, obviously, playing in the tournament and trying to go, obviously, to the big dance to go to the championship?
Yeah, those moments were so exhilarating. They were some of like the biggest stages that I've played volleyball on. But it was just this huge, immense amount of pride in our team, in our university, and just like having this feeling of like trust that, we're in the right place and we belong there. And it was scary for some of us, especially when you go for the first time, and maybe some of your upperclassmen. Fortunately, we had upperclassmen that had been in those positions before. And so they were able to guide us and we were able to lean on them as underclassmen. And it was just some of the most competitive and most intense volleyball I've played in. You have sold out crowds. We played almost every year. We got to play in Minnesota at the University of Minnesota. And those, that gym is a really hard gym to compete in. And it just meant the world that like our fans were able to be there and our families and our friends. And it was just a really special moment.
Of course, coming out of college, what was it like going internationally to play in Sweden?
So leaving college to go play internationally was a really big deal. It was going to be the first time that I had ever left the country. And when I signed to play in Switzerland, it was really near and dear to my heart because my grandmother, her grandmother was from Switzerland. And so it was like this, it just felt like I was connected to this place from the very beginning. And that like, not only was I going to play there, but my family was going to be able to come visit. And that just meant so much to me to like have this cool experience, but also bring my family along for the experience as well, because my family, my parents hadn't been out of the country. Neither had my brother. And so it was just like this really, really special like moment. It was totally nerve-wracking. I mean, you get on the plane the first time and you like know who your coach is, but you're like, okay, who's picking me up from the airport? Well, how am I going to get to where I'm going to go? I'm not going to have service when I get there. It was just this really kind of anxious time, but once you get there and you get settled and you're playing the sport that you love, like it really feels like, a second home, and you learn to adjust, and, the volleyball becomes your full-time job, which is different. You don't have class anymore. You don't have your friends maybe that you hung out with outside of volleyball, and your support system nearby. And so you have to really rely on your teammates. And I was really fortunate to be able to create some really awesome friendships with my teammates. And I'm still friends with them to this day. And so it was just really special to follow those dreams of playing internationally, and especially in Switzerland.
How did it feel to be a 3-time medalist in Switzerland?
That was a really cool experience. So I was able to, my first season professionally, I played in Dudingen, and our team was probably middle to lower in the league. And we made it to the Swiss Cup finals, which was, I think, a really, really big deal for our program. And we were playing Valero, which was a really prestigious Champions League level team. And at the time, for me, it was just a really great opportunity. I was looking, at my first pro season as an opportunity, as a stepping stone to try and continue to grow as a professional, because I really wanted to get back to the USA Women's National Team. And so part of playing overseas, all of those opportunities are going to kind of add to your resume. And so this was just a great resume builder, but also a great opportunity for me to get better at volleyball and competing against the best, and to be able to show how I could perform against, the top in our league. And I was actually named the MVP of that match when my first year playing pro, which was really special. And meant a lot to me as well, just that I was recognized for my performance in that game. Even though we got our butts kicked, it was still just a really awesome, we felt really grateful to be able to be there and to compete against them. And then my last year playing in Switzerland in 2018-19, we played in the Swiss Cup and the Super Cup and the Swiss Cup finals, or the Swiss finals, the league finals. We played against the same team every time. Neuchâtel is their team name. And it just so happened that one of my great friends was the head coach of that team. And one of my teammates from my first year playing pro was playing for that team. And so it just really meant a lot to me to be able to compete against them and to share that moment with them. And that regardless of the outcome, that I was going to feel like a winner, either way. It was just really something that I cherished. And I felt like I was just really happy to be there, especially at the time I thought I was retiring, and that was going to be my last year playing professional volleyball. And so I just tried to soak up every moment. And obviously I'm bummed that we didn't end up with a gold medal. That's a lot of silver medals, but it was still just such an awesome experience. And I loved being able to compete in those big matches. It was really an honor. And I know it's an honor for the people in Switzerland as well, and for the Swiss players. And so to do that with them was really special.
How did it feel to obviously come back to the United States and play with Team USA, who obviously all your life you wanted to play with?
That was a very important moment for me. I remember, so after I graduated from college, I got to go and play with them for a short stint over the summer when there was a libero that was out due to injury. And it was just a really eye-opening experience then. I feel like I was so young and I had so much to learn and had never played professional. And, I'm in the gym with people who are 8, 9 years, 10 years pro. And you go from being, the top in college to restarting over kind of as a freshman and trying to find out who you are, and trying to learn a new system and grow while trying to fight for roster spots is really tough. And I was able to, kind of just soak up that first summer and then go play pro for a couple years, knowing like, man, I really want to try and get back to there. So I need to improve my game. And so in 2017, when I was called to train again with them after the Olympics, after the 2016 Olympics, it was just so special. I had been working for that moment, to receive that call again, to feel like I could prove that I could be there in that gym and that I had grown. And it meant to me that like I had shown some growth and that I had, all of the hard work that I put in was paying off. And I was able to go back into the gym with this new perspective, being 3 years older, 4 years older, and being able to hopefully lend a hand to the new, even though I was kind of new, it was like lending a hand and just being like a resource for college graduates as well, and just really trying to soak up the moment. I felt like the first time I was there, I was a deer in the headlights, just like overwhelmed with everything. And when I got there the second time, I just really I kind of set different goals of trying to, just be connected with everyone and try to show up as my most authentic self and give everything that I could, and try to leave the gym every day knowing that I brought the best me that I could. And I learned so much from those 2 summers after playing, in 17 and 18, and made some really awesome friendships and got to play volleyball at the highest level. And I still felt like I was learning and growing so much just as a person, like definitely not volleyball for sure, but I grew so much as a person, mentally, emotionally during that time. And I wouldn't like those moments make me who I am and have made me who I am today and made me the player that I am today. I feel like I'm stronger emotionally and mentally because of the time that I spent in the gym. So it really means a lot to me.
What was it like for you to obviously put on the Team USA jersey, knowing obviously when you were a child, you were looking up to those players, and now that's your time to put on that jersey and have those kids that you were look up to you now?
The first time I put it on and the national anthem played, I remember crying, just tears of joy, and just this great sense of pride and honor to wear the jersey. I mean, it was 100% a dream come true. It was just, there were moments where I'm like, I can't believe that this is where I'm at. Looking back and setting those goals when I was in high school and thinking about, man, that's where I want to be. And then, 10 years later, that's where I am. Like, it was really special. And again, it just kind of follows that storyline of showing young volleyball players and athletes in general that, if you set big goals, like there are tons of little goals that you can try to reach along the way, and that hard work and determination and your support system can help you accomplish those goals. But I think it's such an honor. I mean, the jerseys are hanging behind me for a reason, because it just means a lot to me to have represented the United States and all the young girls that also aspire to do that, because it is a really rare opportunity. For especially in my position, I was one of 4 in my position, and yeah, it was really special.
Of course, during your time with the Team USA, did you ever go to the Olympics, or were you just in the Pan Americans?
I did not. So I with the United States volleyball team, the national team, there are typically around 32 athletes that are in and training for different rosters at any given time. So there's a lot of different tournaments that occur. My first year when I was there, I had played in the World Championship qualifier that was hosted in Colorado Springs. And then when I went back, I was looking to make bigger rosters. And I never felt like I was able to perform at my peak, at my best. I struggled with a lot of performance anxiety. And that's why I say, like, those moments, even though I maybe wasn't able to achieve my goal of actually stepping into those big tournaments, I was able to grow a lot on my mental game and learn a lot about myself. And they were some of the hardest moments ever, but I had such a great support group around me with my teammates and the staff and, our sports psychologist, and just things that I would never, had I not been put at that highest level, I don't know if I would have ever kind of grasped the intensity of all of those emotions and be able to handle the stresses and the anxieties that I felt. And I think a lot of athletes, a lot of high performing athletes feel that way, and especially at the highest level. And so I did not get to go to the Olympics. I did not compete in any of those big major tournaments, but I felt like I still achieved such a huge amount being in the gym, and all the lessons that I learned from being in there and being able to take away from those experiences.
What was your time like playing with the TS Valley?
That was the first year that I played professionally, TS Volley Dudingen. With it being my first pro year, it was really awesome. I had great support from my coach. He spoke English, which was very important. We weren't maybe the most highest professional team in terms of like practicing twice a day, and everyone on the team was a pro volleyball player. It was this really unique experience. We were in a small town. It was very family oriented. There were girls on our team that were 16, 17 years old, that were from Switzerland. And there were four or five other professionals, or four other professionals on my team, a couple other Americans. And I felt like I was able to just grow and experience not only just what professional volleyball looks like, but I was able to experience the country as well, and travel and kind of take advantage of the country and the beauty around that is Switzerland. And so it was really special to be able to play, and I felt surrounded by love, and like it set me up for, like, it just made me feel super safe and that I had a home. And I, like, from that season, I made some of my best friends that are Swiss. And I always will call Switzerland a second home after that season. It was really special to be able to be there.
What was it like for you to join the Athletes Unlimited, obviously coming from your overseas experience and playing with Team USA?
So I had retired. I had told myself that I was retiring from professional volleyball in 2019 when I returned from my second season in Switzerland. And when they announced Athletes Unlimited, I wasn't really sure if that was something I was going to look into. I remember just kind of being here in my office. My husband and I just moved to New Mexico, and people were reaching out like, "Oh, are you going to play? Are you going to play?" And I was like, "I don't know. I said I was going to retire. I think I'm done." I felt a little burnt out. I had poured, 5 years of my life into like this sole focus of trying to, go to the Olympics and play professionally at the highest level. And I felt like I had so many other things in my life that I wanted to pursue. Obviously, I'm married. That was really important. So I ended up learning a little bit more about it, talking to a couple of my national team teammates, Molly McCage and Jordan Larson. And after talking to them, it just sounded like this really awesome experience. And, I knew that I was going to be in America because I had started my own business for volleyball recruiting and helping youth athletes pursue their college dreams. And so I was like, cool, maybe I can do this job and I can play professionally in the United States. It's really hard when you're overseas. You don't have a lot of opportunities for your families to come watch you play. And my parents didn't get to come and watch me play that much. And so it was really important to me to like be able to, one, again, put on a jersey and be that role model for youth athletes, young girls and volleyball players. And then to have my support group around me again in the stands. I mean, the first year we didn't have fans, but this coming year, they're going to be in the stands. And they were able to watch on TV. And Athletes Unlimited is just so much more than just this sport. It's about the community. It's about the youth athletes. It's about, being civic leaders and growing, not just as athletes, but as people, and just bringing a lot of good to those around us. So it was definitely one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
Of course, with playing with Athletes Unlimited, what was it like getting all the 3 jerseys and obviously being on different teams each week versus obviously on Team USA and International? That was your team and you knew those teammates, so you grew that bond closely with them.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was looking forward to as a new experience. I had talked a lot about it with my husband, who's a volleyball coach, and what that would be like and what I wanted to get out of those different weeks and how I could help my teammates be the best they could be each week. And that was something that I learned at the USA Women's National Team, was just like, how can I bring my best self? But how can I work with, we worked with, there was 31 other athletes in the gym at a time. And so it's, how can I play my best next to this person, but also help them play their best? And so I kind of brought that from the USA Women's National Team to, okay, how does a team form quickly? We have to communicate. We have to iron out some really maybe challenging communication, in terms of the actual volleyball, but just learning about what they need and how I can make them better. And so I love that part of me, I'm really into connection and learning about people and trying to help others. And so that really was probably one of my favorite parts, was, showing up and being able to play with different people every week. And, there were a few people that I got to play with multiple times, which was really special, because then, after the second time, it felt like we had already developed this nice bond. And so that allowed me to go and create deeper bonds with the different teammates. And there were just so many people that I had never played with before, that I had always wanted to. And that was kind of the beauty of it, was that okay, we're taking all these awesome American volleyball players and we're going to just put them all on different teams, and sometimes they'll play together and against each other. And I'm a huge volleyball nerd. And so it was just really awesome to, one, play with them, but also play against them, to find ways to help my team win. And so it was, you'd play with them one week and the next week you'd be playing against them, and maybe some of their secrets now. And so you can pick up and help your team, win the next few games. So it was really awesome. It was a really cool experience.
Of course, were there some players in Athletes Unlimited, like when you were with Iowa back in college, that you were like, okay, now that I'm from Iowa, there are players that I didn't play with at Iowa that now I get to play with, or there's players like that obviously during your time at Iowa that you played and now you're reunited?
Yeah. So there's one player in particular. She was a Cyclone. She went to Iowa State. She graduated before I got there, and I had always wanted to play with her. And so Kaylee Manns, she's one that I did get to play with, and just be in the gym with too, and just kind of see how they play. And she's one that I had always wanted to play with. At Iowa State, I had always wanted to compete against people from Penn State. We never got to play Penn State, or a lot of teams in the Big Ten. And so all of those players like Nia Grant and Taylor Morgan and these big time players that I had never played against, it meant a lot. I had gotten to play against Jordan Larson and Molly McCage in college, and Jordan at the national team, and a lot of these girls, in the national team gym, but I didn't get to see them professionally. And so it was really great to just, you always kind of question what the different levels of the Power 5 conferences and the different teams. And, I think people are always trying to figure out, okay, is Wisconsin better than, Stanford, and different things like that. And so it was just a great opportunity to see how everyone's levels, how they blended, and that maybe there wasn't a huge discrepancy between the different competition levels and things like that. So I really loved playing with everyone.
What has it been like, obviously, with your coaching business, balancing that and obviously being a professional athlete?
There's definitely been a learning curve. I am so grateful that I was able to start this business when I was playing professionally in Switzerland. I had a friend approach me, a former colleague and friend approached me about this opportunity, and she was kind of the reason why I started it. She was like, I think you'd be really great at it. And she kind of helped me get everything started, and I was able to just sort of develop it as I went, kind of in my own time. And I was able to just grow it at my own pace. And so growing it at my own pace allowed me to also pursue professional volleyball at the same time. So when I first, it was 2019 when I started my business in February. And then obviously my first year of business was February 2020. And that was when I was starting my pro volleyball career with Athletes Unlimited. And so there was a little bit trying to figure out the balance while I was at Athletes Unlimited playing. But the beauty of it is that a lot of it is just me and my relationships with my athletes and checking in on them and making sure that they're staying on top of their goals, helping them create goals. And it just kind of helped give me something else outside of volleyball, even though it was still volleyball related. It was really helpful for me to develop a different part of me. I had spent so much time just focusing on the professional volleyball player side of me that it was hard to figure out, what other things Kristen was interested in and she really cared about. And so it really helps kind of drive me and support, it pushes me. Not only am I working with these youth athletes to help them accomplish their dreams, but I'm kind of living out this actual dream of mine still, and like showing them that, hey, you can do and pursue volleyball beyond college. You can play here in America. You can start your own business. You can follow your dreams. It's just really important to me to be that role model. But it's been so fun finding balance and being able to do both. And I've learned just so much about myself and grown. I didn't study business or anything like that. I grew up, I wanted to be a physical therapist. And now here I am finding that my true passion is helping others. And that theme has just showed up in my life. And so to be able to pursue a job that fits that theme of helping others, then I find true joy in that. And so there never feels like this big frustration or anxiety or just conflict between me and my job as an athlete and as a recruiter, because I'm pursuing my passion in both. So it just makes it super easy and makes it really fun for me.
That's so amazing. What is your game day routine and ritual like?
It's changed a lot, but not at the same time. So when I was in college, I had a mental performance routine that I would go through 10 minutes, and I would do that before every practice and before every game. And it involved breathing, positive affirmations, and visualization. And when I was overseas, I kind of went away from it. It was really tough for me I had felt like when I was in college, I had built up these really strong pathways, these visuals of me playing as I was at Iowa State. But then when I graduated and I went to the national team, I learned a different style of playing and passing and technique. And so every time I went to visualize, I would visualize myself as I was playing in college. And that was totally separate from who I was trying to grow into. And so I kind of stepped away from it until I felt like I had a good handle on the new technique and the new skills that I was learning. And so this past year, actually, with Athletes Unlimited, was the first time that I had been able to kind of step back into that mental performance routine, which for me just kind of grounds me, it centers me, it keeps me calm, but also helps me feel really prepared, and just like gives me a lot of trust in my ability, and in my practice up until that point. So I was able to do some breathing. I get to the gym, I get all my jersey, my knee pads, everything on, and then about 15 minutes before we head down to the court, I have my playlist on and my big headphones, and I just put my head kind of between my legs, or I find a quiet place. And I use the same song. I've actually used the same song from college, and I run through my visualization and my breathing and my ask my affirmations. And as soon as that's over, I find a centering breath. And sometimes I feel super anxious, and I breathe until I let that feeling kind of dissipate. And once that calmness, when I feel that I feel grounded, I feel centered, then I can step out and just play and have fun and know that, and trust that all the work that I put in and all the scouting and visualization and everything is going to show up, and I'm going to show up big. So that's really the only ritual I have, is that performance routine.
What are some of your future plans with Athletes Unlimited and your professional volleyball career?
So I am going to be playing in the 2022 season. Right now, I am at a place where I'm like, I didn't know if I'd continue playing. I have been trying to just take it day by day. I was told by one of my mentors, Ruth Nelson, when I was in college, she said, as long as you're having fun and you're healthy, she said, you should try to keep playing. And I originally was retiring back in 2019 because I felt like the fun part of it was kind of disappearing. And I think there were just so many other factors, being, away for 9 months and being away from my family and my husband and my dogs and my friends. And even though I had that friends, all those friends overseas, it just still wasn't, my bucket still wasn't full. And so I still follow that rule. As long as I'm having fun and I'm healthy. And so we'll kind of see. I'm trying not to say like, yeah, I'll just keep playing year after year. We'll just take it year by year and see how the body's holding up. And I know that I'm having a lot of fun. Last year was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had playing volleyball. And, it's 6 weeks, and I think that, my body can handle that. So we'll just we'll see how it goes.
What advice would you give college volleyball players looking to play college volleyball and then going on to professionally?
Yeah, so for youth volleyball players looking to play collegiately, I think it's definitely about doing your research, and you have to commit to this process. It is a challenging one. It can be, it can feel grueling at times, because you might get lots of no's or no responses at all. But just know that there are so many options out there for you. And I am a big believer of letting someone else tell you no. So don't take yourself out of anything until you've tried and you've done everything that you can, and that person tells you no, that, hey, actually, no, you're not a good fit for us. Or, I think it's just so important to put yourself out there and to not give up on your dreams. Now, going to play professionally, I think it's definitely about learning about what you're looking for, what you value when you're looking overseas, where you're looking for international or professional options, what's really important to you, and making sure that you have support, that you rely on your support group a lot, your circle, your family, your friends, because this is not something you can do alone. It can be really challenging at times, but it can also be one of the most rewarding things ever. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. And so just embrace it. And sometimes you have to just do it scared. And I think those two big things is someone tell you no, and do it scared, have kind of been my mottos trying to accomplish my dreams is that, it's okay to be scared, but there's always, like, if you pass through that fear, that anxiety, there's lots of good on the other side. And I just think there's a lot to experience out there. So just keep your eyes and your options open.
What advice would you give international players looking to play internationally and players looking to play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or obviously like the U.S. national team?
Yeah, I think you never know until you ask. So if you're trying to get in the United States in the national team gym, making sure that you're watching the competition level, you're watching the games, you're seeing and evaluating yourself. Are your skills comparable to those athletes? And then putting yourself out there, sending an email and figuring out like, hey, can I get in the gym somehow? Being a little relentless in that pursuit. That was something that I always tried to just make sure, like, hey, I'm here. This is what I'm working towards, being very verbal about my goals, and wanting to be in the USA gym, and just figuring out, hey, what do I need to do in order to be at that level, and putting myself in situations so that I could possibly have that opportunity. So when I played my first year in Switzerland, I knew that I needed to go somewhere where I was going to be challenged even more the next year. So I was always trying to level up. And so that next year I went to Germany, which is a better league. It's a little bit more grueling, a little more intense than Switzerland. And the competition just from the first team to the last team is really tough. Every night you have to show up. And so I would definitely suggest trying to find ways to, one, improve your game, but then put yourself in challenging situations so that you can grow, because that's how you're going to get better. Is you're not going to feel great all the time. If you feel good all the time, then maybe you're not, experiencing the greatest challenge. And so always looking for opportunities to grow and to get uncomfortable.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
I'm on Instagram. You can follow my personal account. It's Kristen Hahn Tupac. If you are interested in the volleyball recruiting side, you can find me at imperiumrecruiting.com, or my Instagram is imperiumrecruitingvb. I'm also on Twitter, but not very much, under K8 or Kristen Tupac, actually. So yeah, I'm kind of all over, but that's probably the best. Instagram's probably the best place.
Thank you again, Kristen Hahn Tupac, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with Athletes Unlimited.
Thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Kristen Hahn Tupac, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.